I'm not going to shed any tears over what happens to Brett Favre. I'm really not, because the entitlement of this action is just too over the top for me. I actually have a concern that all of this animus that's being directed at Brett Favre over social media is going to lead to Brett Favre perhaps being treated unfairly by the criminal justice system. I believe Derek Chauvin, and I'm going to irritate people, I believe he was mistreated by the criminal justice system. I believe Derek Chauvin should have been convicted of manslaughter. I believe he acted in a negligent fashion that contributed, along with the fentanyl in George Floyd's system, that contributed to George Floyd's death. But because Derek Chauvin was caught up in a social media doo-doo storm, and there was this unfair narrative, and there's this political opportunity to make some point and offer up a scalp, the guy's basically in prison for the rest of his life. I think they convicted him of second-degree murder. I believe he was overcharged for his actions. I think Brett Favre is perhaps in similar crosshairs, that Brett Favre has done something wrong. I can't figure out, I read up on the story, I can't figure out what level of charges he should potentially face. But now there's this great political opportunity to charge Brett Favre and show everybody, look, I'm not racist. I'm not for white privilege. We threw the book at Brett Favre. And I think potentially he's going to get overcharged. I don't know if this crime deserves a slap on the wrist or if it deserves, this guy facing some real prison time. I do think the political winds are putting in Brett Favre in a tough situation. I believe what he did was wrong. I believe his entitlement led him to do it. But I'm a bit concerned we're going to go overboard trying to get Brett Favre, because all the political winds, the social media lynch mob wants Brett Favre taken down. Your thoughts?
Waking up on this fine Friday afternoon, Brett Favre, I'm sure, has heard all the social media chatter. I don't think he ever anticipated being compared to Derek Chauvin as he woke up today. So let me unpack what you unpacked. I understand what you're saying. In other words, both have become lightning rods, highly controversial figures in what is now a racialized issue. I don't disagree. My view is this: every legal case has its own merits, and nothing else should impact it except the actual facts. Now, do I believe there might be a politician may use this, no pun intended, as a political football to further their careers? Yes, it's been done before. It'll be done again. But I want to say this about Brett Favre. I don't think anyone should have any sympathy for him. He's lived a good life. He has millions of dollars. When it came to setting up a volleyball facility or court for his daughter's alma mater, which is also his own, Southern Miss, here's what he should have done. Take out your damn checkbook and put your name on it and give some money. Honestly, I keep thinking about this saying, Brett, what the hell were you thinking? He knew he was doing something wrong. Not that ignorance is ever a defense, but if you actually read some of the emails, he's saying, we're going to get away with this, right? And I'm going to look good. I find that to be scumbag behavior. Let's be honest. If we're going to have a problem with BLM and what they did to add to their portfolio, real estate, we should have a problem with Brett Favre. But that's my point. Neither of these situations is great. We should not color this with racial lines and then decide, well, what's our level of outrage? That's just really the issue that I have with the way both of these subjects are being covered. I look at this thing with Brett Favre. I think he's tarnished forever. In the court of public opinion, I'm not so sure he can ever really recover. Can we be realistic, though, about this? That water crisis they have in Mississippi, there are certain people that are making it sound like, well, if Brett Favre would have just redirected that to the pipes and the plumbing, everyone would be having sparklets and Arrowhead water coming out of their faucets. Wait a minute. This thing is so much deeper than one guy. And again, Brett Favre should come up to whatever legal recourse he has to stand down. He's going to have to face it. But there's a whole systemic breakdown from a state level in terms of why something like this happens. So let's go through every single politician. Let's go through the political and government hierarchy and see where did this fail. Because if you're just going to focus in on Brett Favre and a volleyball facility at the University of Southern Mississippi, guess what? You're still not going to change a damn thing.
I'm not going to shed any tears over what happens to Brett Favre. I'm really not, because the entitlement of this action is just too over the top for me. I agree. I write checks to Ball State. I don't have near Brett Favre's money. I'm sure he's given some money to Southern Miss, but no way he should be involved with some shady government officials trying to redirect money and get the credit and all that other stuff. It's a bad look for Brett Favre. He deserves some punishment. But this hyper focus on Brett Favre from people that aren't hyper focused on the governor of Mississippi at that time. Yes. I believe his last name is Bryant. And again, he says he didn't know. He's claiming ignorance, and that may get blown up in his face. But if we really want change, let's get that governor. Although, yes, to some degree, I'm not even sure if that, because virtually every Illinois governor ends up in prison and nothing ever changes with the corrupt system in the state of Illinois. This belief that we're going to punish our problems away and that the solutions are with punishment is misguided.